So, lads, today we're going to be talking about some EuroBasket. We're going to be talking some EuroBasket. And if you're a fan of the Fever, if you're a fan of the Aces, if you're a fan of any team that is not the Liberty, the Valkyries, the Mystics, and the Lynx, you're probably like, what is going on? How is this happening? Because I watched a lot of EuroBasket. And all the top players, by the way, in EuroBasket seem to be either, if they're in the WNBA already, or a lot of rookies this year are signed by those teams. And then you're looking at like the semifinals right now, which is France versus Spain, Italy versus Belgium. Ceci's Andalusini, the best player on the floor for the Italian team, the best player by a mile, Valkyries. Belgium, outside of Emma Mason, no one knows where she's going to go. Julie Van Loo, Valkyries. Spain, or France, Janelle Salon, Valkyries. Ileana Rupert, Valkyries. They also, Badian was, they got rid of Badian, who I think would be a really, really nice backup player. Mignatori, who's been pretty okay, was Valkyries and they cut her. Valeriana Yayi. I don't know if she wants to come over, but she's been a really late bloomer. She's somebody that get into her late 20s, early 30s has been a really good player. But again, you're looking Valkyries. Best player on the team is a Valkyrie. Second best player on the team is a Valkyrie. And then obviously Yayi's not currently with the team. But then you look at the Spanish team. You look at the Spain team. And there's one player that is killing it. Absolutely killing it. And if you look at Slovenia, what's her name was there on that team? Jess Shepherd, the Lynx. You look at Dorka Juhas, the Lynx. So they have all these teams of players ready to come in next season. So you look at Spain. I really rate Mariana Ortiz really highly. I think she does. I was talking about this before the championship. I still think she would have been an unbelievable player to have gotten in because she does a little bit of everything. She's a do-it-all point guard. And I think somebody's got to bring her in. I don't care if she'll be 34 coming into the next season. Like, someone in the WNBA has got to bring her in if she wants to come over. But if you look at the rest of this team, obviously, like, Alba Torrens is pushing 30. She's 35, is she? Yeah, she's about to turn 35. Like, she's killing it. But, like, she hasn't played in the WNBA by choice. And then there's Awa Pham, who's been their starting center, who's been pretty decent. But again, she's just turned 19. She just turned 19 a couple of weeks ago. She's going to be a 19-year-old rookie, and she's better at this point in time than Dominique Malonga. But if you look at the Spain team, there's one player that I'm talking about here, and it's Raquel Carrera. So Raquel Carrera is averaging 16 points per game, and in her last two games, she had 6 points in a meaningless game against Great Britain. She had 7 points in a pretty meaningless game against Sweden. I know the Sweden game went to overtime, but it didn't matter because they were already through the group. They were already through as winning the group, unless they lost by 25. So the games that mattered, the Germany game, which was going to decide first and second in their group, and the Czech Republic game, she is averaging 25.5 points per game. 25.5 points per game. And the Indiana Fever are out here. And I forgot to mention, she's a New York Liberty. She's a New York Liberty. So the New York Liberty lose Kayla Thornton, and they bring back Maureen Johannes this year. The New York Liberty are going to lose Niara Sabli next year. They're not going to be able to afford to keep Niara Sabli. They bring over Raquel Carrera on a 4-year rookie deal. The New York Liberty brought over their X Factor winning the entire thing, which is Leo Fibish, who was who was without question like the best glue player in the WNBA. Like Leo Fibish, there are 13 teams that would love to have Leo Fibish on their team. That is a fact. There are 13 teams who would love to have a 6'4", 40% 3-point shooter who's a lockdown defender. Everyone would want Leo Fibish on their team. And Raquel Carrera is out here putting up 31 points in a game, in a comeback win, by the way. In a comeback win. And she's intelligent, she can play a bit in the post. And again, I don't know if she is the answer for the Fever. Like, if you're looking at how she plays, like, really nice step through there. Like, balls getting swung. She's on the perimeter. This is against Germany, taking it to the basket. Setting the screen right here. Rolling to the basket. Easy roll. Catches it on a lob. Easy finish. Like, she's not the greatest athlete in the world. And I'm not going to say that she specifically is right for the Fever. But there are so many players that teams just have the rights to that would have been. And you can see how many of these teams essentially are getting scammed. It's always the sky. It's always the sky to take a player or to give up the draft picks to a player, the draft rights to a player. All of these teams, the way they've looked at the game is wrong. The way they've looked at scouting is wrong. Like, Raquel Carrera is there with footwork. She's got touch. And again, is she Dantes-esque in her speed? Sure. Like, is she as athletic as an Yara Sably? Very much no. But, like, she is a stronger player than Damiris Dantes. Like, she was fantastic in the Spanish league playoffs. She was one of the best players in those leagues. And she's somebody that you just know because of where she plays. Like, Turkey is very different. The style of play in Turkey is very import dependent, where a lot of the best players, a lot of the time, are like, well, not the best players. Like, you win based on your imports most of the time, unless you are Fenerbahce, or Mersin, who just have these god squads, for lack of a better word. But most of the leagues, there are two different types of, like, overseas leagues. There are import dependent overseas leagues. And then there are overseas leagues that are locals dependent. And it's team ball leagues. It is no ego leagues where you play with these higher players. And, like, she is a perfect no ego player. She's going to come over. She's going to play her role. And she's going to be great for New York Liberty. She's going to be absolutely fantastic for the New York Liberty. And you just know she is because it's the freaking New York Liberty. They just spawn players. The Lynx find Klinikova. Like, the Lynx find Klinikova, just found Klinikova basically off the street. And she's came in and given them great minutes off the bench. Like, these good teams are able to scout. They're able to see that Carrera, they're able to trade basically nothing for her rights because she's she showed some potential playing in the Spanish league. They're able to come into the draft this year and sign and draft Cane with their third round pick, a player they were never going to use, but she's there playing overseas, and she might do well next year or the year after that, and eventually bring her over. They have the rights to Hanju. They have the rights to Raquel Carrera, and they also now have the rights to Annika Soltau. Annika Soltau was expected to be a first-round pick in the 2025 WNBA draft, and it just didn't work out. For whatever reason, with Annika Soltau, it did not work out, and the Liberty have her rights now. And, like, these are, when you're seeing they're good teams, the Valkyries are doing it the same. The Valkyries of Indiana Rupert, ready to come in. Like, there's all of these teams, like, are going for their future. It is essentially like free draft picks. And not only that, they're getting them in at 23, 24, 25. Like, Carrera is 24. And let's be real, she's going to come in next year and be ready not to be a starter, but to be an elite backup. And with that being said, the Liberty have got a good one here. Like, she's been one of the best players in all of EuroBasket. Outside MMS, she's probably been the best player. And Janelle Salon. But again, these competent franchises have these players. These competent franchises are going to get them, and you better believe that with the way, like, it is very, like, we talk about the Fever needing to get MMS man. But, like, what happens then? If the Fever get MMS man, what ends up happening? Does Natasha Harrow come to the bench? Does that cause locker room issues? I don't think there's any chance that they get MMS man. I think she goes to the Liberty, and I think the Liberty are going to be okay with just going to Leo Phoebus, who's, again, going to Phoebus being like, look, you are going to play 25 minutes per game. Are you good coming off the bench? It gives us a chance to win a championship. And again, this is Leo Phoebus. Like, when you come from a system growing up that you are not always the star, you fight your way through. And if you look at Leo Phoebus, I watched the German national team win the under-18s Euro B championship in Ireland a year older than Phoebus. So Phoebus and Niara were the same age. Niara was the star of that team. Phoebus didn't even make that team. So not only was she not this superstar growing up the whole way in life, she didn't even make the German national team a year up. Yes, she was an all-star at under 18. She was a late bloomer. Started off playing low-level pro career and worked her way up as a professional basketball player before coming to the WNBA. That is the same with these players. Like Carrera was struggling. She won a Euro Cup, but wasn't playing that many minutes. When she was drafted in the WNBA, she wasn't playing that many minutes overseas. And it's only in the last year or two that she's become one of the top players in the Spanish league. And now she's been one of the top players in the national team. Heck, as of right now, she's coming off the bench for an 18-year-old just because they want to play Awafam in there and blood her early. So, yeah. Anyway, that is pretty much it. I'll see you guys.